which represents individuals with learning disabilities. Jackie, thank you very much for talking to me today. And I want to begin by asking you, what sort of impact are these increases in care charges having on the independence and quality of life of people who need assistance?
Well, it's huge. I mean, can you imagine being slapped with a bill for thousands of pounds when you have no means of paying it? The stress that's caused. You know, we were talking about people who are the least well off in society, people that don't have jobs and don't have assets. They can't go out and get a second job. They can't get a better one. They can't get one in the first place. And they don't have assets to sell to pay these bills. So the stress that this is causing is, and as we heard in your report, having to choose between food and heating and and paying your social care bills, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite baffling, isn't it? Because I think something like only 6% of people known to councils, to the health and social care departments of councils, actually are in employment, people with learning disabilities. So, if they are not working and, as you say, have no means of increasing their income, then the situation is being compounded, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. And what we're seeing in this bit, I mean, in some ways, this supports what we've heard through our helpline and from what people with a learning disability and their families have been telling us for a while now. But to see it so starkly and so widespread is really shocking. The sheer number of councils that are having to do this, and they are struggling to make ends meet. They're struggling to balance their budget. The money has to come from somewhere, but really it should come from government, not from the people who are the least well off in society.
Do you have sympathy with the councils? They say they're struggling with funding cuts. So do you have sympathy for their position?
Yes, we do, and we know they're struggling, and we know that they're trying to make ends meet, and they're trying to give people enough, care and support, according to their statutory needs. But the money simply isn't there, and it must come from government here. We're looking at social care reform. We very much hope social care reform will be coming down the pipe very soon. The government's promised that, and it really needs to happen. But before that is allowed, we need a huge cash injection into the social care system, because at the moment it's like a massive game of Jenga, and if you take one more block out, the whole thing's going to come down.
Well, that's a really vivid analogy, and you talk about what the government's going to do. I mean, politicians have been talking for a very long time about fixing social care, haven't they? I think Boris Johnson said about 2 years ago he was going to fix social care for once and for all, and then the pandemic happened, and I'm looking at a statement from a Department of Health and Social Care spokesperson, and it talks about the funding given by government since the start of the pandemic, committing over £6 billion, they say, to councils through unring-fenced grants to tackle the impact of COVID-19 on services, including adult social care. But beyond that pandemic funding, the government saying we'll continue to work closely with local and national partners to ensure future reforms are also informed by diverse perspectives, including of those with lived experience of the care sector. So, I mean, the words are all fine, I'm sure you would agree, but are we badly overdue a look at how the social care sector is funded?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, that money that they put in during COVID was very, very welcome and much needed, but it's already been spent. It's been spent on the extra PPE, it's been spent on the extra staffing costs that have gone along with handling the pandemic. There really needs to be a systematic look at the way that social care is funded, and also reform as well. So, it needs to be, we've been through this terrible experience of COVID. We've seen really clearly, the whole nation has seen how important social care is. And as a society, we need to fix this, and we need to really go back to the drawing board. We need to look at what people want and need. We need to base a system that is suitable for everybody, whether you're an older person and you're choosing to live in a care home or choosing to live at home, or whether you're a working age disabled adult and you're going to need some form of social care for your whole life. We need to really build a system that works for everybody, that isn't based on hours that are parcelled out according to what the budgets allow, but really give everybody the independence of life that they deserve, whatever their age and whatever their need.
I mean, what about the most vulnerable of the people that you work with, people who don't have a family member or good friends to come along and plug these gaps to make sure that it isn't a choice between paying for care and actually having enough food in the cupboard?
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? And Saskia is lucky because she has her mum, and we see a lot of people like that whose families have to step in and have to fight for them. There's an awful lot of people that don't have that. There's an awful lot of people that don't have families, and quite frankly, wouldn't know where to start in terms of challenging those decisions. We have a helpline. It's on our website, on Mencap's website. You know, we get a lot of calls through, and actually social care is the number one topic that people call about, whether it's they've been denied it in the first place, whether they're struggling to get somebody in their local authority to deal with them and speak to them, or whether it's actually they're tackling and trying to challenge the decisions that have come down from the local authority. But it's really clear people need help to navigate and the system and to challenge it where they feel that decisions have been taken unlawfully.
Jackie, thank you very much for talking to us today. Jackie O'Sullivan there, the Advocacy Director from Mencap. And if either you or someone you're close to is affected by this increase in care charges, do get in touch with us to let us know about the impact of all of this. You can do that on Twitter at Anita_McVeigh and use the hashtag